Let me at him!
Well, there it is. Hello and welcome to the Patron Q&A with me, WTii. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. So, shall we go to our one and only question from the one and only Spencer Swanson, otherwise known as the Pega Broster, who says, "Hey Rich," I don't know why I do the voice for him, but I'm gonna go through with it now. For your Q&A this month, tell me, do you have a favourite book? Do you like reading? What kind of book would you enjoy reading? Well, I do have a question for that, and I picked up a few books which were nearby, and that might actually answer your question, so... Oh, by the way, as for the aesthetic that you're looking at, I just kind of fancied it, you know. Did the Patron games, and I thought, I quite like the music that's playing at the moment, although I don't like the music that's playing right now, because it's jack shite of it, but it seems to keep reiterating music, and I thought what I'd do is, for sentimental sake, have on that side, this side, the other side, opposite of me, but over here, these guys over here, there you can see all the little custom games that are currently being hosted right now on Warcraft 3 and see if any of them remind you of the good old days, whilst I'm webcamming it up at the top right rather than just having the webcam take the whole thing, and due to the aspect ratio it wasn't doing it properly beforehand anyways, so I thought I'd try this out. Let me know what you think, otherwise I can always do different settings, not a problem. So let's answer the first part of your question. And that is, do I have a favourite book? Yes, I do. And it's mostly because of, again, referring back to nostalgia. My favourite book was the book that I read. It's kind of like a comic book, kinda, but it's very lengthy. And as a kid, basically, it's called The Hobbit. So I got The Hobbit when I was a kid at like one of these school fetes or something like that. It was a summer fete, a church fete, something like that. And at the end of the, I might have told this story before, but at the end of the fete, they had like more or less a giveaway. It was like anything that was left over, you can take. And there was a whole ton of books, and I took some books, and some of them were some weird shit. Basically, because it was free, I just took everything. I'm pretty greedy like that. So I just took it all, including an eye makeup kit. I shit you not. And I was like, what, 10 years old? Maybe even younger, I don't know. But I took it, because you never know when you're going to need that. It was really actually quite good, the book. I don't have it now, in case you're curious, but it was like, yeah, it's like that. It's like literally like the shape of an eye, and you can flip over each page. It was like kind of tough, and it would show you like the different eye makeup styles. So this one will be blue, then it'd flip over, then it'd be pink, and it'd be slightly different like shading. I remember it quite well, which is actually somewhat scary. So anyway, going back to my favourite book, it's this one. Boom, The Hobbit. It hasn't got a front cover. It hasn't got a back cover. I don't know what happened to it, and it's tatty as fuck. I actually read it again recently after finishing watching all of the recent Hobbit trilogies, which is what I was kind of saving this for. As you can see, I've sellotaped a lot in the middle. A lot of the pages are sort of like falling out, so I've had to sellotape bits throughout just to try to make sure that it's all in one piece. But it's pretty ragtag, as you can tell, for its authenticity. It's pretty old, but if we just go through to like a random page, there you go. You got like all the hobbitses. And that's the bit where they're doing like it's not the rhyme, what is it? It's riddle, where they have to work out the riddles. It's so good, but you can see what I mean. It's obviously there's a lot of, it's a comic book basically. There's a lot of drawings and stuff like that, but that's one of the lighter reads. You go to some of these pages, and I mean, look at this one. This one's kick-ass. Although that's a very light read, but that's what they're actually supposed to look like. Nothing like in the movie, according to this. Those are the rock golems, or basically, you know what I mean, like the mud golems from Warcraft 3, right? They chuck the boulders, and yeah, this is definitely my favourite book of all time, because it's just very special, I guess. That's some, oh shit, I'm tearing this up, as you can see. That's a much more lengthy one, where there's a bit more to read, and that's where they're trapped in by the elves in the dungeons. So a lot of the stuff that happened in The Hobbit did obviously happen in the films, but it stretched out over 3 films. And even then, not all of it was exactly the same. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, yeah, You're gonna go,
Well, actually, in the Hobbit movie, this happened over here, which didn't actually happen in the original series of the books.
and yeah, I'm not gonna get into all of that. I enjoy them both. You know, you might slag off the movies, but they're okay. They're not great, but they're okay. So there's something for us nerds. So enjoy it. Take it for what you can, for what you can get. Take what you can and give nothing back. Yeah, so that's my favourite book. As for what do I like reading? Technically, what I like to read, and I don't know anyone else who does this, but I prefer to read off paper myself. I don't have a Kindle, and I don't know if there is an e-reader or something like that that has, you know, doesn't have a negative effect on your eyes. This is coming from someone that spends all day in front of a PC. But at the same time, when it comes down to sitting down and reading, I like to just have a book, like something that isn't artificial, if you know what I mean, like authentic. It's not so much for the feel of it, it's just for my eyes' sake. Like, I don't like looking at a screen, so I could theoretically use my use my iPad, but again, I'm reading off a screen if I'm doing that. So I haven't actually answered your question there. What do I like reading? What I like reading technically is to actually catch up on all the news, specifically gaming news. So what I would typically do is I'd print out the latest news. I'd go to MMO Champion or stuff like that, copy and paste into a Word document, cut out the bits I'm not interested, then make the font really small, pull the paragraphs close together to save ink from printing, because again, you've got to save money where you can. And it's a lot of fun. I like doing that, but it's very time consuming, and once it's read, it's kind of useless. So I kind of need an e-reader for that, but that's what I prefer to read if I can. But I haven't really done that very much these days because it requires effort, but it's nice sometimes. Like when Diablo 3 was coming out, I remember getting all the resources I could. I went to all these websites that had all these guides or these opinions about the game, you know, early, because no one's really played it. You know, just sort of like early guys from people just playing early in the beta or getting access to it in the alpha, that kind of stuff. All the hero classes, what they can do, so then I can read it and I can sort of theory craft in my head. It's great for reading, because obviously when you read, you're trying to go to another world a lot of the time when you're reading a light book, but they kind of guide you a lot of the time. Although this has pictures in it, so that's easy. But the ones that don't, then you have to make it up in your head. And it's kind of the same for reading out all these stats, so to say. It doesn't sound very exciting when you say stats. Oh, this is the demon hunter, this is what it does, this is what it's capable of. But what I'm doing is I'm reading for all of that, and then I'm picturing that in my head, and I'm thinking of all these different scenarios and how I could use it. And it's great because that gives you stuff to think about when you're in bed, and then you can wake up the next day with ideas on how to approach it. So this is when I was theory crafting closer to when the Diablo 3 launch was coming out. That's just an example. I've done it with other games and stuff like that before, so it's what I like to read. That's what I enjoy reading, really. So that's kind of like your questions answered. But I will show you some other books as well of what I've got. I've got myself the Matt Stone Grinder. It's a masticator, kind of. What's the word for it? Centrifugal something. Blender. But it's not a blender. It's a centrifugal masticating thing. I know. So it's a cheeky thing. And this isn't necessarily I like reading, but again, I like to read stuff that almost gives me an advantage or advice or tips or help. I don't particularly tend to sort of dwell into things that don't matter. Like, everything matters. If you enjoy it, then it matters. So I'm not really sort of like judging on that front. What I mean when I say that is I try to be as productive as possible, which is what I always do with all the YouTube stuff. I'm always trying to do new content, or always trying to record, or always trying to make stuff, basically, because I have to keep on top of it. I like to keep on top of it, and one of the best ways to keep on top of it is, like I was saying, is researching, printing it all off and reading all about it, and then maybe I can make a video about all the information I've just absorbed. You know, there's potential there. So this again is just guide on how to use the thing. But I do have another juicer book. This isn't the one, and I don't know what I've done with the other juicing book, but basically it gives you sort of like guides and things you can choose. Exciting. Kind of is. But at the same time, I want to get a proper blender. Actually, that takes too much time itself, the centrifugal one. I want to get a quick one. It was all about trying to reduce the oxidization process that you lose and the fact that you got so much pulp with a blender, but at the same time I just think, fuck it, as long as you're being healthy, you're being healthy. Even if it isn't like 100% perfect level of healthy, you're still trying. So if it's easier and quicker and more convenient for you and it's still healthy, do that. Fuck. Just do it, trust me. It's centrifugal, it's a pain. It's slow. Like you have to feed it through and it basically cranks it out. You don't have to turn it. It cranks it out automatically, but it juices it and oh my god, you take ages doing it. Anyway, here's another little book, Nutrition for Dummies. That's another little thing. I've yet to get very far through reading this, but again, it's kind of stuff that sort of gives me information. Stuff I can absorb. It's like studying, but studying stuff that I'm interested in, which is something I never did at school. So I do it in my spare time as an adult. Because Jesus Christ, there was nothing I was interested in school apart from drama. I was really screwed in that front. Not a good school pupil at all, because I just didn't care about anything. Stay in school, kids. Stay in school. I envy those that actually have a fucking passion when they're at school, or know what they want to do. That is, honestly, if you have that, then take it and run with it. Go nuts. If you want to be a doctor and you know that's what you want to be, study hard for that because you're going to love it. I never knew what the fuck I want to do. I still don't know what the fuck I want to do. And as for my birthday that I got recently, got a book from my sister. Ron Burgundy. I've yet to read this bad boy, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it as I go through it when I get round to it. It'll just make me think about the film. I very much enjoyed the first film, much more than the second film, although the second film's still acceptable, but it was very much running off a lot of the gags that were original in the first one. The first one's so good. You killed a guy. I know. With a trident. It was just so good. Well, that escalated quickly. There's so many good quotes from it. Loud noises. Yeah, so that's nice. That's where to get that. And that's something you can just sort of read for fun. So if I was ever to read anything for fun, it would be something like that, basically. But typically, 9 times out of 10, if I do read, it's going to be something that gives me information. Like the Essex Chronicle. That didn't bloody come in. I mentioned on the stream at one point that I was going to read that and go to bed. But I just went to bed because it didn't bloody come up. Yeah, but I like reading the Essex Chronicle because it gives all the information about the local surrounding area that I never go in because I never go outside. But I like to know about it anyway. All the happenings. For example, we got a swimming pool complex that is being destroyed and rebuilt because it was created in like the 1950s or earlier than that. And it has diving boards, swimming pool. Obviously a swimming pool because it's a swimming pool, and flume, and they're rebuilding it, spending more money. It's going to be smaller, not have diving boards, and they're not even sure if it's going to have a flume, and it's going to cost more money. So it's kind of like topical debates like that are quite fun to read because you can actually see people's comments and views, somewhat like YouTube in that sense. People write in and say why it's a good idea, why it's a bad idea. They give their opinions. They try to get polls and votes and stuff like that to sway things. Because that is bad. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this area anyway, because at some point I'm going to move, and I could move potentially anywhere, really. Don't have many strings attached to me, so I'm quite free in that regard. So yeah, I like to read, but I don't do it very often. But I like to do it. So, hopefully that answered your question, Spencer. I think it might have. And thank you everyone for watching, and have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.